Hey guys, I'm here with a treasure scramble video. In this video I'll be showing you guys the teams that I'm using for the treasure scramble, and I'll also showing you guys the different good formation you can use in the treasure scramble depending on what heroes you have, right? And basically depending on what awakened heroes you have. So if we start out by looking at my teams, now I know that the reset just happened, so my win rates are, well, as you can see, only 3 battles have happened, and they're all at 33%. So that doesn't look too good. But these 3 teams, my team 1, my team 2, and my team 4 are usually above 50% win rate, and this one is hovering around 50% win rate, at least for last rotation. But going over my teams, right? For me, I have Awakened Soulless build, and I have Awakened Belinda teams Awakened Belinda build, and that obviously decides a lot of the teams that you would be using. But for my first team, I'm basically doing a pseudo stall team. It's basically just a Awakened Soulless team, right? But since I can only slot in 4 teams right now, I can use the seal pet here as well, since this team is kind of stalling in nature with all the healing and stuff that's going on here. That just allows the seal to pop off alongside with this team. But once we hit 5 teams, I'll be swapping the seal into a seal team, a stalling seal team, and then I'll just be using, I think, the owl or the fire or the talisman in this team. Now for this team, this is the strongest PvP team you can make. However, you would need Awakened Sophia instead of Yennefer. I've been using Yennefer because, well, I don't have Awakened Sophia, and also you can also use Rowan instead of Yennefer. However, I need Rowan for my Awakened Belinda team. But yeah, this team is really strong, right? And if you have Awakened Sophia, it's the best team in the game, I believe. For this team, I'm just using dimensionals, right? Because I finally got Mulan's 9 furniture, so I thought I might as well just throw in the dimensionals that I don't use up here into this team. Some superstars in here is obviously Albedo buffing all the other heroes, and then Mulan and Emilia are strong heroes in PvP, so I'm just throwing those into a team with the Owl Pet. And then lastly, I'm using the Belinda team, usually hovering around 50% or 60%. It's a pretty strong team. I'm not using Ulna, which I usually do in the earlier rounds of Treasure Scramble, because I need Ulna to make this team up here. So I'm just using the Soulwrath version, which is slightly weaker, but it allows for me to make this team. Now, those were my teams, right? Obviously, I want to remind you guys that if you want to know what the best teams are, you would look at the top players because they're using the best teams. So as you can see here, I always look at Big Mac. Here's the team that I'm trying to make without Awakened Sophia, right? This is where I use Yennefer instead. Then obviously if you have Awakened Athalia, you would use this team. And if you have Amatria, you would use this team. And I believe this is with the Seal Pet. And then lastly, if you have Thane, you can make the Thane team as well. So yeah, those are my teams, and those are the current top teams as we are at the 4-team stage. But I do want to swap over to the browser real quick. Let me make sure I don't leak anything. There we go. To show you guys some, albeit outdated guides, it's still guides that you can use to get a grasp on the current meta, because not a lot has changed other than Awakened Sophia. And we know what Awakened Sophia has done to the meta, because Awakened Sophia basically takes Rem and it takes Ulna. And makes a team from those two. So this, as you can see here, is slightly outdated. It is 2 months old at this point. It's a guide made by Lab Long Lang at the Neuromancer Guild, well, in collaboration with Arise. But I will say that the Neuromancer Guild guides, I don't know if they stopped making them or if they're making them somewhere else, because I'm not able to get my hands on them any longer. So if any of you guys have a contact inside, so we can leak these guys once again, that would be huge, because my contact ran out of these guides, or maybe they were kicked for the guild or something, I don't know. But we still have the old guides to look at, and even though it is 1 month, 2 months old, the only thing that really changed the PvP meta is the introduction of Awakened Sophia, and that's a known quantity because we know that what team she makes. So we can still look at some of these teams, and they're still strong PvP teams. And obviously, I'll include links to these in the description. And when I say these, it's because we also have a 7 teams guide. However, this 7 teams guide, as you can see, it's even more outdated, right? Now it's 3 months outdated, so this is not as usable. And also, we're only at the 4-team stage right now in the Treasure Scramble, so there's no need for a 7-team guide per se. But it obviously will still include information in what different teams to build. If you can't build one team at all, then you can look at some different teams in here, try to build one of those. So look in here, we can see the first team here. This is the dimensional team with Brutus. Now for if this was updated, this would no longer include Rem, right? And you would probably just use Mulan instead. And then you would make this team, and then you would swap Rem down here, right? And throw out Awakened Belinda, and she would go build her own team. So that would be team 1 and team 2, right? Dimensional, and then a Rem team. And then for Belinda, you can use the supports that isn't needed for Rem, right? So Rem needs she needs Olna, she needs herself, she needs Damia, and she needs Awakened Sophia, and then she needs Ezio, right? So these 3 you can use Rowan and Rain and Aziz. And then Palmer or someone like that, another Lightbearer support, or even Helios to finish off an Awakened Belinda team. For the third team here, this is the Thane team. Also, currently what one of the top players are running, right? I showed you guys he was running an Awakened Thane variant. And as you can see here, if you don't have Thane, you can use Awakened Athalia. However, if you have Awakened Athalia, you would rather build the team below here, team 4. Because this is specifically an Awakened Athalia team, right? With the Invade. This is a super Lightbearer, Thane focused team with Sonya, and this is more, if you have Awakened Athalia, you would want to build this variant, variant of the team. So yeah, Awakened Thane, Awakened Athalia. Brutus can go up here if you have him. Belinda makes her own team. Solus can slot into the Awakened Athalia team, or she can make this team down here, right, which is the Seal team. So there are 2 variants of the Seal team depending on what level your Seal is. Now for most of us, our Seal would be below level 15, which means we would want to use this team. However, if you have a strong Seal, you can make the stall team here, and eventually at the 7-team stage, even if you don't have a strong Seal, you can still make this team. It's just obviously less effective, but it is a pretty free-to-play friendly team. As you can see, there's no Awakened heroes used in here, and actually it's just primarily 4 faction heroes, and then Flora and Talene, who most people actually have built, because, you know, they're well, Flora you get from everywhere. Like, there's so many ways to get Flora in this game. Well, it's slowed down a bit, and then obviously Talene is kind of an OG Celestial hero you might have built, but even for Cursed Realm, even though she's kind of falling out of the meta, she is one hero that most people have built, right? So these are actually, but this actually, in theory, this is 6 teams, right? And then for the 7th team, it would be the Rem team. So that's kind of my read on the meta. Now, I do want to show you guys another thing, which I found on the crowdsourcing Discord server. And this is an up-to-date, right? This is a very, very recent up-to-date plan, basically from one of the larger accounts, on what he's going to slot in at the 5-team stage. So as you can see here, for the first team, this is the Awakened Athalia team. Then we have the Brutus Dimensional team. Then the Rem Awakened Sophia team. Then the Matria team. And I'm guessing this is where you would slot the Seal in. And then lastly, the Thane team, right? So if you guys have a Matria build, a Thane build, or Awakened Athalia build, or a Brutus build, you can slot them into these teams. And this is the planning of a guy who I believe is top ranking on his region. And also, as you can see here, is using the new Graveborn in the Thane team, which is super interesting. And I ascended the new Graveborn, so I'm happy to see he has some use, even though it is with Thane, who I obviously do not have yet. So I didn't really have, a up-to-date guide for you guys this round, but I did want to share my thoughts on the current meta and also show you guys where you can find information. And as always, the best place to find information for everything AFK Arena related, I'll also leave a link in the description for this one, is the crowdsourcing Discord server, which is run by Zero. And this is basically where I gather most of my information, and also where I have most of my discussions of the game, because this server is filled with fellow tryhard players who are trying to maximize the gain from every single event out there, right? And as you can see, I'm currently in the Treasure Scrambles section, where we have the forest screenshot section, where you can see the different people, right? So as you can see, here's a ranked 29 player on region 37, and you can go take a look at his teams. And obviously, there's a lot of teams to look at, so you guys would probably be able to find some teams that you could build, right? Just by going back here and even looking at, you know, the earlier rounds, like the last forest round, you could look, go back further enough and look and see if you can build any of those teams. I think that's about it, what I wanted to say about the Treasure Scramble. Now, if we go back to the game real quick, I did want to update you guys on the Treasure Vanguard, the new game mode. I made a video earlier this week where I gave my initial thoughts and my initial strategies for this game mode. And just to update, basically, I want to give an update on the teams that I'm using in here, the three hero teams, basically, because, well, I can actually. As you can see here, I'm sitting at an 80% win rate, right? And I only have 2 Awakened Heroes built, is what you gotta remember. So I'm actually able to do some pretty free-to-play friendly teams here to have some decent win rates. Now the big change, the big thing that changed was my team 7. I slotted in, I took out Alna from Belinda, and I slotted in Lucretia and Silas into this team, and it's been doing fairly well. It was definitely better than what I had before. And so these are basically the teams that I'm using, right? Actually, if we go, because you can't see the way they're set up, right? Which actually matters when there's only 3 heroes, right? So this is the Belinda team, the Irons team, the Seal team, the Emilia Rem team, and then the Mulan team, the Wilder team, and then lastly the Lucretia Alna team. And those are my teams. And also another thing, if you don't care about the ranking overall for your faction, which you should, because it gives you, well, it only gives you 1,000 diamond difference, right, where you rank overall. But for my specific faction, right, we have a Discord server where the top guys, basically we have a guy, our top guy, I think it's okay. I believe, yeah, it's okay. He basically gives instruction for everyone else to know what they should be focusing on when you go to inspect, for example, whether you should going for the whether you should be going for the black, the red, or the green faction. Currently, I'm going for the green faction, but the gist of it is you want all of these to level 10, right? But you don't want to over-invest into one of them. So as you can see, we're pretty under-invested into the green faction right now. So we're trying to even these two out up to the level 7 one. And for here, we're doing, as you can see, we're almost done with the food thing. So we would want to shift more into these two things to make it more balanced. Basically, so you don't waste resources once they reach the max level of level 10. But that's about it. This was just a quick update I wanted to share with you guys for the new game mode, but I'm running out of voice, I can tell. So I'm just gonna end the video here, and I hope you guys can score higher in the Treasure Scramble. Currently I'm only at top 2%. Usually I'm sitting comfortably in the top 1%, and I think the reasoning for that is because, as you can see, I'm sitting on 1,000 time emblems, and I'm probably gonna do a live stream soon, maybe when the next Awakened Hero is announced, where I will spend my time gazers or my time cards and probably go for Awakened Sophia and Awakened Athalia. And then if the new Wilder is good, I'll probably pick that one over Awakened Sophia. But time will tell. But that's it from my video. Hope you guys can score higher in the Treasure Scramble.